everyone, and welcome back to News Science, where we discuss comics, movies, games, and more. The name is Ronnie, and today we're going to be talking about something that I believe to be incredibly wholesome, and that is the writer of the Spider-Man animated series, the series that I grew up in the 90s, is open to revive the series on Disney+. And if you all know, if you've been following anything from Marvel Studios, X-Men 97 is actually going to be coming out to Disney Plus next month in March. And basically, it's a revival of the original X-Men series. And also, there's going to be some, things that are like really concerning to me. And that is that they're going to be probably implementing some woke stuff, nonsense. And that's one of the things I'm afraid of. And if they touch this series, a series that I hold so close to my heart and near and dear to my heart, and they decide to mess it up in any kind of way, I'm going to be really, really upset. Because if they're going to revive this series, I want John Semper Jr. to be in full control, who's basically the writer of the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s. And also, if I were to give it a title, it'd be called Spider-Man 98. Now, before I get started, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, click on the bell notifications so you don't miss anything, and join my Discord. Follow me on social media as well, which you can find all the links to that in the description box below. So let's go ahead and take a look at the article here. I have it pulled up from superherohype.com. And it says here, Spider-Man writer open to Disney Plus revival. John Semper Jr., who was the primary credited writer on the beloved 1990s television series Spider-Man the Animated Series, recently revealed that he would be interested in a revival if Marvel Studios reached out to him. With X-Men 97 set to continue the events of X-Men the Animated Series, which aired back in the 90s along with Spider-Man, Semper was asked by a fan if he'd be down for Spider-Man 98. All they have to do is call me. I'm here, and I'm certainly consider doing it, he replied on Twitter, which is amazing. I follow John Semper Jr., and he's one of the folks that I have to thank for giving me a series that really enriched my childhood life. Like, folks, I know I'm kind of showing my age here real quick, but I gotta say, I'm a 33-year-old man. Spider-Man the Animated Series really changed my life. Spider-Man the Animated Series is the reason why I got into Spider-Man in the first place, and it's how I discovered Spider-Man. And the way I discovered Spider-Man was really weird to me, because when I first saw this series on TV, I used to think to myself, man, that character looks pretty weird. What's with the mask? Where's his mouth? I was just a 4-year-old child when I discovered Spider-Man. And I, loved Spider-Man ever since. And I grew up watching this series. And if you all recall, and I actually recently rewatched the entire 65 episode series on Disney Plus, actually a little earlier last year, around mid to late last year, I rewatched the entire series. If you all recall, and if you're as old as I am, or if you decided to take up on watching the series ended in a cliffhanger where Spider-Man actually takes off with Madam Web to go save Mary Jane. And I think that series needs a conclusion. And if they're going to bring it back, they're going to have to call it Spider-Man 98. Now, Marvel Studios can do this because Marvel technically has the animated rights to Spider-Man series, not Sony. So it wouldn't be in Sony's control. I mean, why do you think Marvel Studios is doing a Spider-Man animated series in the first place? And it's going to be canon to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that's not Sony, that's all Marvel. And that's going to be Spider-Man sophomore year, which I'm also pretty excited about as well. So Marvel Studios can certainly do this and have full creative control on this, and there's nothing Sony can ever do or say about it. So Spider-Man the Animated Series had the first Spider-Verse story. The Spider-Verse is extremely popular nowadays, especially in comic books. And yes, this Spider-Man series from the 90s was credited to have the first ever Spider-Verse story, and it hasn't ever been addressed ever since, until in the comics and then recently the movies. So Spider-Man the Animated Series aired on the Fox Kids network from 1994 to 1998, running for 5 seasons and 65 episodes. Similar to X-Men the Animated Series, Spider-Man became known for its multi-episode story arcs, which was unusual for an animated property at the time. The series finale was the first to introduce the concept of the Spider-Man multiverse, which Semper believes later inspired Dan Slott's Spider-Verse, who is actually the one who popularized the Spider-Verse concept in the storyline in the comics. Recently, Sony Pictures Animation has received critical acclaim and commercial success for its animated Spider-Verse movies, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2018 and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse 2023. A third and final movie, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, is in production. Interestingly enough, Semper's comments regarding a possible Spider-Man 98 came after he used Twitter to leave a statement for Across the Spider-Verse producers Avi Arad, Amy Pascal, Phil Lord, and Christopher Miller, and Christina Steinberg after the group was honored with the award for Outstanding Producer producer of animated theatrical motion pictures by the Producers Guild of America. Even though you've never seen fit to thank me in your credits for creating the Spider-Verse concept, you're welcome anyway, Semper wrote on Twitter while linking to Animation World Network article about the win. Hey Avi Arad, Amy Pascal, Phil Lord, and Christopher Miller, and Christina Steinberg. Even though you've never seen fit to thank me in your credits for creating the Spider-Verse concept, you're welcome anyway. Yes, actually, I do believe John Semper deserves that thank you. He's the one that created it. And also, foolishly and selfishly enough, Dan Slott, who technically I'm not a huge fan of, he's well known for making, or at least writing, Spider-Man comics. And he's well known for popularizing the Spider-Verse. The guy has a bit of an ego, and I know that because he's always picking fights with people on Twitter. So whatever you may think about Dan Slott, positive or negative, just know that he's a total scumbag, and he thinks that he created the Spider-Verse. That's all I'm going to say, and that's my little tangent there. But yes, if you want to know where the whole Spider-Verse idea came from, it's from this guy. And I have him to thank again for enriching my childhood life because, man, the 90s were a blast. It was a hell of a time. And Spider-Man the Animated Series was one of those aspects that really made my childhood life even that much better. But anyway, what are your thoughts about a Spider-Man revival series, the animated series, and calling it Spider-Man 98? Because that's when it ended. And X-Men 97, well, it ended in 1997. So what are your thoughts about Spider-Man being revived? And also, this will not be controlled by Sony because we know how Sony likes to bastardize, or I guess you can say sodomize properties like the Spider properties, with the exception of the animation. But credit goes to the actual animators over there at the studio, where like no Sony executive head or producer had any control over. If they do this, Marvel Studios, you cannot implement any woke nonsense into this. Keep it the way it is. Keep it at its time. Make sure it's actually dated, where it actually feels like it's the 90s, and just leave it alone. Don't put any social justice warrior identity politics nonsense into this. Keep it wholesome and innocent, just the way it was when it was last left on the air. Anyway, leave your thoughts and comments down below. Share with me what you want to see from this if this actually becomes a thing. And as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notifications so you all don't miss anything. And I'll see you all in the next comic panel.